at libertymutual.com.
8:36 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim Talamonte.
CTA Red Line trains are standing near 35th due to a report of an unauthorized person on the track. You can use the green line of the 29 State Street bus. Then there is I-55. Southbound traffic is heavy right now. Around Cass, there was an earlier medical emergency. This has cleared fairly quickly. Inbound, traffic is heavy 126 to Weber, and then Harlan to Kedzie. Stevenson runs 30 minutes from the Veterans Memorial Tollway to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 24. Kennedy, 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 18 from Montrose, 12 in the Express. The Eisenhower is 43 minutes, 390 to downtown. On the Ryan from 95th to downtown, it's a 17-minute trip. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Rain and drizzle, breezy by the afternoon, high 64. Right now, partly sunny and 53. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
About 60% of Arizona's 15 counties received the Zuckerberg grants, but more than half the money went to Maricopa County, the state's largest jurisdiction. And while Biden only won 5 of the state's 15 counties, he really extended his margin in Maricopa County, which saw an increase of 48% in Democrat turnout from 2016. And in states that didn't, in counties that did not get the Zucker funding, Democrat turnout increased by 12%. Now, there's other variables, too, in terms of the composition of the electorate and so on and so forth. But it is interesting to note. And this is why there are reforms afoot in places like Georgia that are, of course, being decried as, Jim Crow-era voter suppression efforts. Things like eliminating the signature matching requirement on absentee ballots, instead requiring mail ballots and applications requiring them to have state ID numbers, and requiring Georgians who vote in person to present ID as well. Then you don't have to, all become handwriting analysts. Other ideas in the legislation that's pending set an earlier deadline for requesting a mail ballot. Applications due 11 days before the election instead of 4. And set permanent rules for ballot drop boxes, Zucker boxes, for example, as well as to prohibit outside funding from organizations like the Zuckerberg's nonprofit, which clearly has a political disposition. So again, against the backdrop of H.R. 1 at the federal level, you have these fights going on at the state level, and you have an increasing amount of evidence to suggest that there were all sorts of legitimate questions that were asked, continue to be asked, and should be asked about the administration of elections in the states that mattered in 2020. For more on this and a few other topics, we're pleased to be joined again by Quin Hillyer. He's a senior commentary writer and editor for the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. Quin, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
There is a lot of attention being paid to H.R. 1, a lot of concern, obviously, by Republicans that federalizing the elections on a go-forward basis to make sure that they're administered in about the way they were in 2016 in perpetuity would really put the Republicans at a disadvantage, and thus the efforts in places like Georgia at present. Do you agree with the threat assessment that Republicans and conservatives are making about that H.R. 1 legislation?
Yeah, but it's not because it would put Republicans at a disadvantage. It's because it's terrible law. It violates the entire intent of the Constitution. It leaves things wide open for voter fraud. It does all sorts of things that are really not good ideas, no matter who gets help and who gets hurt.
And in Georgia, where Stacey Abrams is calling some of those proposals I just rattled off redux of Jim Crow in a suit and tie.
That's obscene. That's not even close to being true. And actually, Rich Lowry of National Review had a good column the other day, just blasting Stacey Abrams for comparing it to Jim Crow. It's not even in the not only not even in the same zip code. It's not in the same region. It's crazy.
This racialization of everything, though, it's exhausting, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop. And we see this now in the most sensitive of topics when people are murdered. The effort to force the Atlanta killings into through a racial prism, and to some extent, even remarkably, the Boulder, Colorado shooting, where I've seen some Twitter chatter that raises concerns about whether this will create a backlash of hate crimes against Muslims.
This is something else that is becoming obscene, and I use that word advisedly. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you want to make an accusation of racism, pause, wait at least an hour, think about it, research it some more, and then probably don't make it.
But wait a second. If I do that, then my moral panic could have subsided.
Well, that's the point. To make an accusation of racism is a very serious charge. Racism is a horrible thing. I have spent decades and decades fighting against racists. But, the racist cry has become today's wolf cry. And when you cry racist at the drop of a hat, people stop paying attention to you. And then when there's a real racist, even then, they say, that's just another stupid person yelling racism without cause. And so not only does it lose its effectiveness, but it's also completely unfair to people that are accused of racism when racism has nothing to do with it. And there is real racism out there, but to yell racism every time is morally degenerate.
Yeah, but what is the woke left and the Hollywood elites going to do when the monster in Atlanta is not charged with a hate crime?
Well, I'll tell you
take to the streets.
What they should do is just stuff it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look.
Quinn, did we lose Quinn? Quinn?
Uh-oh.
Hello, Quinn.
Was it the line of questioning?
No.
I'm just trying to think he
right.
accidentally hit the end button.
Apparently we have a technical difficulty with Quin Hillyer, so we'll effort him back. We'll take a break.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Who would have imagined we would still be dealing with a virus a year later? The past year has been quite a ride, but here's an idea sure to bring a smile to everybody's face. I'm talking about a chocolate Easter bunny from Morkiss Chocolates, chocolatiers since 1920. Morkiss's has traditional bunnies, classic bunnies, funny bunnies, long-eared bunnies, car bunnies, motorcycle bunnies, and even their ever-popular 3-foot-tall, 30-pound chocolate bunny. And like last year when it all started, Morkiss will hand-deliver your 3-foot bunny for you anywhere within 30 miles of their Palatine or Huntley locations, freight-free. You can order online at morkisschocolates.com or call 847-359-3454. That's MORKESchocolates.com or call 847-359-3454. And of course, you can always stop by Morkiss's Easter Wonderland to find cream eggs, baskets, and the best donuts. Morkiss Chocolates, over a century as Chicagoland's favorite chocolatiers.
It's David Hochberg. If you or a family member are looking to purchase a new home, then you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Today, meet Aria, 30, web designer, income, $90,000 a year, purchasing her first home, and called her dad, Bob, for advice. Bob advised Aria to call the only lender he trusted, Team Hochberg, to help his daughter purchase her first home. Aria followed her dad's advice and called for a free consultation. Team Hochberg answered Aria's questions and approved her for a mortgage. We also introduced Aria to a Team Hochberg trusted realtor who was helping her locate a home, and real estate attorney David Schluter. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners like Bob help their kids understand the home buying process, locate a home, and secure their first mortgage. But we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. The number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we've got Quin Hillyer from the Washington Examiner back, WashingtonExaminer.com. Quin, before the break, we were talking about racism, and you were just making the point about the attempts to force a hate crime narrative into the Atlanta massage parlor murders, regardless of the evidence.
Right, and somehow I got cut off a phone problem on my end, but the point I was making was this whole idea of hate crimes is a bad idea, because if you intend to kill somebody, I mean, intent matters in terms of what the act is. If you intend to kill somebody, you are guilty of murder regardless of whether you murder a black person, a white person, a Chinese person, or whatever. But the crime is the killing. The crime is not why you committed the murder. The crime is not based on the race of the victim. And so this whole idea of extra penalties if you did it with racist intent rather than just with murderous intent, it makes no sense. It completely contradicts everything that was essential to the history of Anglo-American law.
And Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth taking the occasion to at least initially suggest that we should repeal Brown versus Board of Education and go back to separate but unequal. That's essentially what she and other identitarians are saying when they say things like, I'm not going to vote against any non-diverse nominee. They either have to be a minority or LGBTQ if they're white in order for me to vote for any Biden nominee because of the underrepresentation of Asian Americans, according to her. But this establishment of a racial order in no uncertain terms, I mean, it really is an affront to Brown v. Board of Education and the last 50 years of trying to foment racial harmony through content of character type disposition.
Well, yeah, this flies directly in the face of what Martin Luther King said he was all about. The left is now saying that color blindness before the law, that if the law treats everybody the same regardless of color, that itself is racist.
Right.
This is Orwellian. This is double talk and double think. This is saying black is white is black, up is down, and rain is sunshine. This is monkeying with reality, and it's also completely immoral.
With respect to the academy and this matter, you've written about that recently, talking about a University of San Diego law school professor. Just the latest casualty. I'm happy to have you recount that incident, but the larger question about whether the academy can be salvaged, whether K through 12 education can be salvaged. I know neither are going away, so we have to figure out something.
We do have to figure out something, but the people that really need to act are the boards of directors of colleges. The boards of directors of colleges need to insist that their colleges, their universities, uphold academic freedom. And that means if there are any administrators who get into this woke, politically correct business of punishing faculty members who dare speak up against the prevailing ethos, any administrator who does that, who violates academic freedom, should themselves be disciplined and may be fired. It is up to the boards of directors to to ensure that universities are places of learning and free inquiry, not places of ideological indoctrination.
He is Quin Hillyer, senior commentary writer and editor for the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. Quin, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.